Shalom Aleichem. We're here in Borough Park on 14th Avenue near corner of 46th Street. And we're going to look at a few buildings now that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yitzchak, the Rebbe Raayatz, was here 90 years ago today, Yud Beis Elul, Tov Reish Pei Tes, which was September 12, 1929. The Rebbe arrived in America to help Yiddishkeit in America, to help his brethren in Russia, and to strengthen his own Chabad Hasidim that were already in America. And today he came here to these buildings. Now, these buildings weren't here at the time. They were rather a big house right here, which you could see on the video. Ametica is nit anders. On that video that came out, America is no different. You could see a big house, and the Rebbe is at the second floor of the house, and he's looking down, and there's also, you can see the amount of people towards the first floor, and the building was located between 4513 14th Avenue and 4511 14th Avenue. Between 4511 14th Avenue, which we're on, and 4513. Actually, the building at the time was listed as 4515. The house of Rabbi Simpson. Rabbi Eliyahu Simpson was the Chabad Rav of the shul, the Tzemach Tzedek shul. He initially came to Borough Park in 1928. He was a Rav at the time at Anshe Lubavitch on 12th and 41st, which is the oldest shul in Borough Park. And then he decided to open his own shul, Tzemach Tzedek, and it was right here. So today we have this brick building here, which, by the way, in 1969 was bought by the Skolia Rebbe's father, Rabbi Baruch Pinchas Rabinowitz. But before that, this was a shul. From 1929 to 1934. In 1934, there was a terrible fire, and there's pictures in the newspaper about the fire. And although the building stayed, the inside was destroyed. Miraculously, all the children were saved, the 7 Simpson children, and the Sefer Torahs which stayed. And we have pictures of all this, and in my upcoming book, Hashem, we will print some of those for prosperity. Anyway, going back to this building, here's the base. It used to be known as the Agudas Yisrael building when I was growing up here in Borough Park. Today it's a school, but the property goes till here, and it seems like there was a rezoning of the property when the house of Rabbi Simpson stood here. In this house, the previous Rebbe said 2 Maimorim. Hashkifim and Mein Kochecha, Shabbos Parshas Tovoi, 1929. And he also said Shabbos Slichas, another Maimer Tikorev Elecha, the Maimer of which we don't have currently. But the first Maimer we do have, and it's printed in the Sefer Maimorim, Tov Reish Pei Tes. It was said in this location 90 years ago, Shabbos Parshas Tovoi, which was September 17th, I believe, at the time. There's another historical shul right diagonally across, right there. The corner shul is called the Sefardishe shul, and that's, I believe, from 1916. And the world-famous cantor, the Chazan Yossele Rosenblatt, was the cantor there in 1928 and 29. Subsequently to the crash, the stock market crash, they couldn't pay him, and he went back to the OF Tzedek shul in Harlem. But he was there, and I mention that because in different Chabad material we see that he sang at their events, and it seems that there was some kind of fondness between him and the previous Rebbe and the previous Rebbe's Hasidim. So it's just an interesting divine providence, Ashgacha Pratis, that happening across from Rabbi Simpson's house and shul, in which the previous Rebbe was at. Diagonally across is the Sefardishe shul, where Yossele Rosenblatt was the cantor, the Chazan, in 1929 when the Rebbe came here. So I assume that he went to see the Rebbe because many rabbis came from all the greater New York area to visit the Rebbe. Another interesting point that I recently discovered is that after the fire, they demolished the house, and it was all covered with grass. And someone who lived on this block on 46th Street used to play here ball in 1947 with his friends, and he told me they saw the foundation and basement still was there, and they saw an entirely tiled room. The tiled room is demonstrative of a mikveh. So it seems like that Rabbi Simpson had a mikveh built in this shul for himself and for the Rebbe and other Yidden that wanted to use a men's mikveh and possibly a women's mikveh, I don't know. And this is because the tiling of that room was full tiling versus just the bathroom being tiled. So the indication is that there was a mikveh actually in this property before they built this house on it. And what I think from all this we see and understand is that here's one block, the Sefardishe shul with the Agudas Israel, with the house of Rabbi Simpson, just in one block, and there's so much history here. Another point I'd like you to look at, show the camera, the big Beis Yaakov school right across the street. The big building here, Beis Yaakov, used to be a stable. It used to be a horse stable, I'm told. Someone who actually grew up here remembers that. So everything has changed for the better, of course, but the fact is that this has tremendous history here, and for those that are, want to learn more about it, want to study more about it, I highly encourage them to read the works that I've written and continue to write about the history of Borough Park. And standing here today, 90 years later, is a milestone. May everyone be blessed and have a ksima v'chsima tova, a good gebenched year. May you be written and inscribed for a year of health and happiness and sustenance, ultimately with the coming of the Mashiach speedily.